Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts and going over data. And so here we are looking at the Intel chart, ticker symbol INTC, which closed on the day February 18th, Tuesday, at a price of $27.39, being up over 16% on the day and continuing up in the after hours. So yeah, I got this nice massive green candle move over here. And so, in all honesty, I just kind of wanted to go over some levels that I think it might be finding some resistance at, but I also wanted to go over how when Intel was potentially putting in a bottom over here, I was putting out videos on Intel. So if you go to the channel, you can just search here Intel. And so a week ago, I put out this video, Bulls Have Arrived at the Intel Party. That only got 30 views, not too popular of a video. The week before, I put out a video going over Intel options data and the chart. Not too exciting of a title. Hopefully the thumbnail maybe got some attention. But again, only 30 views. And then I really started to cover Intel about 4 weeks ago with this video on bears running away. And that's all based on options data, which goes back to these highly regarded options theses that I've been going over for about 3 months or so. But I stopped doing that because I had learned a lot from going over all of these different charts, all of the data in options, looking at unusual whales, and I've decided to kind of apply that data more so to stocks that stand out as having some unusual whales data. And so Intel was one of those stocks. When I did put out this video, it did get 87 views, so that's more than the 30 over here. But really, it's a small channel. I view videos as not being so successful if they get less than 100 views. And so, all of these videos were unsuccessful. But 4 weeks ago, let's look back at the chart. Let's see, I'll just take a measurement here, going back about, let's see, so maybe I did that a little bit early. I think I put out the video when it was going up here. So I put it out a little bit early. We did get rejected from this yellow line here, which is the 50-day moving average. So my bad there, put that out a little bit early. But it was signs that bears were selling their puts, which is bullish, or at least a sign that a bottom could be forming. Got a lot of levels down here suggesting that a bottom could be in. You might be able to see it here in yellow, 786 at 1886. That goes back to, I think, 2009, a Fibonacci retracement based on, a low. Let's see, I'm just going to scroll back in time to show that. I might have actually, nope, I haven't passed it. We've just got this, on the daily here, all the stuff up here. And so, sorry this is taking so long. We have this going down to 692. Yeah, it looks like it was the low from over here, which is super weird. That there's just like that little blip down there that doesn't seem to be too normal. So that's actually kind of odd. But anyways, that is what the Fibonacci retracement is based on. If I do go back on the weekly time frame, I think we can see that a little bit cleaner. And yeah, there's just this really kind of odd move. And so, I just drew that retracement. And that was going back to 2009. Yes. So, there's just a lot of levels over here suggesting the bottom. Also, unusual whales data lining up. And, that was followed by, even if you got the top up here, that was followed by, 22% move to the upside, coming down from the bottom here, 45% to the upside. But if you were trading some of the options that I had gone over, you'd be up hundreds of percent. And I have to say, it's a little bittersweet for me. I had some calls with Intel and I sold them a little sooner than I should have. I still have some shares. I'm up about 40%. My average is actually exactly 1930. I did have a line over here. You might be able to see it, 1920. I was buying right around 1920, got my average to 1930. I plan on never selling those shares, because I don't think we're going to be coming back down to there. I think this is going to be going higher, but I think that we might be bumping into some resistance. So I did want to go over that, but I also, before I forget, wanted to go over a couple other stocks that I think might be doing the same type of thing with forming a bottom and breaking out based on unusual whales data, stuff like that. And it's quite possible that the videos that I put out on these other stocks might not be so popular like the Intel ones were. And you have to think about it like the YouTube algorithm takes advantage of people's emotions. When you really want to see a video that is going to be promoted, but when you've got all these emotions and a lot of people want to see the same thing, that's the sheep following the herd. You want to be a wolf. And so, to be a wolf, you have to be looking at bottoming signals that are very, very boring. Nobody wants to see that, but that's how you get these really nice moves. And if you're in calls, if you're in options, you can make a lot of money this way. And so some of the other stocks that look like they have been breaking out in perhaps a similar manner as Intel, I would have to say Celsius Holdings. This has been trash talked so much. It's just bled down so much, but after gapping down following this downtrend, we broke out above it and it's up. It looks like over 6% in the after hours. They've got earnings coming up in a couple of days, I believe on Thursday. And this is at all-time lows at 2110, at least being the 52-week lows. So yeah, I think this could really be taking off. I think there's a lot of potential for calls with this, maybe getting up to like $42 at the 200-day moving average over here. So something to consider with that. And then another one that has stood out to me that I'm just so excited about is Unity Software. I've been following this one, trying to identify the bottom over here. And, I have been participating in this more recently. We had pulled back to this retracement here. I believe that's the 786 in yellow there. Also some other levels corresponding with that potentially being the bottom. Earnings coming up here on Thursday. And yeah, there's been some unusual options activity going on with it. The Bronx Viking has been posting about it, as well as on the channel. I did share some videos, one of them being from Orlando, who you can follow on X, as well as I believe Colin Gladman also went over Unity. Two people you could both be following on X. Both videos I would encourage checking out. There's a lot of really, really nice setups taking place right now, and I think that Unity could be another runner, just like, let's see, Celsius. And, these would both be following Intel. But anyways, this video is about Intel, so I am just going to minimize that watch list and talk about the levels where I think this could be getting rejected from. And this really just stood out to me because, I was hoping for a pullback to around 22 to reestablish some of those calls that I had, but that clearly did not happen. And so I'm just going to delete that retracement because, that's a bias that I have. I want this to be going lower. But looking at the chart, looking at the RSI over here being above 70, 78, 76, could definitely go higher. Also, we see this volume continuing to increase as the stock price goes higher. So I don't think the top is in just yet. But this uptrend that I had drawn here got me thinking, well, hey, maybe we could be seeing a top soon. And so I just want to point out how this uptrend is drawn based on the low from September 10th, as well as I believe the low from October 31st here. And, that did act as support here before we broke below it, and now we're back at that level. So I think it could be at or around some resistance. Also, we are trading above the 200-day moving average, which is at 24.64. So this could be pulling back to that level. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this week, but that would be about a 10% drop from where we're currently at. And then also, I do have this blue dashed line here, which is a gap. That was formed when we closed on August 1st at a price of $28.87, gapping down here, consolidating below it, and we are now approaching that level. And so I think that there are two levels here, both this uptrend as well as this gap, that might be acting as some resistance. And, you can think about that as, if there were people buying over here during this consolidation or buying right here just before earnings, they were probably thinking, hey, I'm going to buy a bunch of shares. I think this is going to be taken off. But then following all of this consolidation, they probably didn't sell, and they're just waiting to break even, get a breath of fresh air, getting up to around $30 a share. And so there might be a lot of resistance up there, so do keep that in mind. And so if we do get up to 30, I would look for potential pullbacks to around either 29, around current price at about 27.50, or maybe coming down to this 200-day moving average. But I must say the last time, actually, there is a valid point here. The last time we broke above the 200-day moving average, we did pull back to it. That looks like it was in March of 2023, getting into April, moved above it, but then pulled back by the end of April, hovered around it, broke below, and then moved higher, retested it months later. And then following the breakdown, this is the first time we're getting above it. So I suspect that, we will be retesting the 200-day moving average as support. So do keep that in mind. Have a plan. If you're in the green, especially with options contracts, have a plan to trim, to take profits. I wish I would have held on to some of my calls up until here. I sold them too low. But I am pretty new to trading options, I must say. Really just learned about them from those options theses videos that I went over. And, I need to be managing how I take profits. Nobody ever went broke taking profits. And so, I am not going to be losing any money with Intel, especially with my average down here at 1930 with those shares. And so I'm feeling good, but I'm going to wait for this to cool off, to start to roll over before I consider getting back into some calls. And speaking of calls, I did want to just go over the overview here, looking at the volume as well as the net call and put premium up here along with the stock price in yellow. And so this is for Intel for today, February 18th. We can see that in yellow, the stock price did go up over the course of the day. Whereas if we look at the net put premium, that more or less stayed flat. But the net call premium increased massively throughout the day. And with that, we see this increase in volume that suggests the buying of contracts. And so those contracts that were being bought were calls. So that is very bullish. And then if we look at the difference between the net put and call premium changes over the course of the day, it looks like net put premium did increase by about $778,000. So that's getting close to $1 million, but it's not $1 million. It's not in the millions. So while it's not good for net put premium to be increasing, it didn't increase that much relative to the net call premium, which went up by a whopping $34.11 million. So that is just massive. That is insane. I have not seen a change like that in net call premium since I have been looking at the charts. And so this to me just seems like massively strong, massively bullish. However, some of this might be a little late to the party. I think that it might only be going up for a couple more days before we start to see a pullback. So please do be cautious with that. If we do look at the bear bull slider here, it looks like 49% is on the bullish side, whereas the other half is either neutral or bearish. But clearly, looking at the increases in these net call premiums, that seems to be pretty bullish, but it could be getting near the top. And so if I just look at the past 7 days, we can see that, yeah, the net call premium along with the stock price have not been this high. The highest net call premium was over here was 18.69 million. And so here for today, for the 18th, 34.11 million. That's a lot of money. But then I also wanted to take a step back to look at the past 30 days and see that, it's been kind of flat over the past month. I did point out in the other videos this massive drop in the net put premium that was on, I believe, January 16th. That was a drop in net put premium of about $16 million. And so that is a sign that, the bottom is in, or the bottom could be forming. And so on the 16th, if we look over at the chart, let's see where that was. That was right here before we gapped up. And, so that was a good time to be getting out of, some puts, because it did move up higher. But that was not it. We needed to wait for that double bottom to be formed relative to this one, this being the second bottom, although there were other tests of it in the past, before we got this big move up. And so, that was a sign that the bottom was near, the bottom was about to be in. And then with the dip in yellow over here, we did see that before this rampage to the upside. But I suspect it will only be going on for a few more days, or at least getting up to around $30 a share. At that point, I think we will likely be starting to see a cool off in premium with this flattening out and maybe fading back to, like I said, this 200-day moving average, which is currently at $24.64. But it will likely be higher as the stock price probably continues to go higher during the rest of this week. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to share that because, it's one that I wish I was still in more heavy with, still holding those calls. But at the same time, I'm glad I took profits on them, and I am going to be able to apply, what I learned with Intel to other stocks, other options, trades like Celsius, like Unity, and others that I cover on the channel. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck trading. Take care, you guys.